Welcome to the Manifest Enlightenment Soar show. Today is my guest, Mr. Jim Doyle. Jim has been a wonderful developed footprint in the business world and television, and he helps in Sarasota, Florida, and the community as well. And he serves on some boards and volunteers as well. Welcome to the Manifest Enlightenment Soar show. Today is my guest, Mr. Jim Doyle. Jim has been a wonderful developed footprint in the business world and television, and he helps in Sarasota, Florida, and the community as well. And he serves on some boards and volunteers as well. Quoted, Angelia Batassa from JDA Media, President and CEO. Nearly 50 years of Jim has been an essential fixture in the local media business. In fact, he says he considers himself the luckiest man on the planet for the opportunity to combine two of his greatest passions, media and sales, into such a successful career. During his passions in media and sales, a series of books were written, also helping thousands of local companies reach their goals as well. With the help of dedicated staff and professionals, Jim led their goals and led Jim Doyle and Associates, now JDA Media, to become a recognized and the most respected sales consulting and revenue development firm in television and digital and media business. When I took the reins from him, January 2020, I knew it was a special company, in no small part due to his immense legacy for innovation, dedication, and excellence, which continues to this day. Angela Batasso, JDA Media, President and CEO. Mr. Jim Doyle, it is an honor to meet you today. It is a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
Great. So, in 1991, you founded Jim Doyle and Associates, which is now the leading training revenue development company in television and digital advertising business. First of all, congratulations on your success. And secondly, it's extremely exciting. How did this become, or how did this develop?
Well, like many business foundings, there's a couple of stories.
Of course.
Two versions of the story. So one version is that my entire life, I've always been attracted to teaching and training and training salespeople. And so
Sure.
I was doing that for a long time, sort of as a hobby and an aside.
Yeah.
But then I was a partner at a radio station in Rochester, New York, and the format change didn't work. The partnership blew up. I lost $1 million, and you too can be a sales trainer.
Oh.
So that
Wow.
was the beginning of my foray into what became JDA.media back in '92. So
okay, what do you like about your organization's leading television and product success?
Yeah, so I'm no longer involved as the retired guy, but what I loved about the work that we did was the ability to make a difference.
Sure.
In fact, the very first book I wrote for media salespeople was called "Don't Just Make a Sale, Make a Difference," because I think what happens is that the truly extraordinary salespeople in the world really view their role differently than most, and they see that their job is to make a difference for their customers. So we got blessed to be able to do that on a scale that became bigger and bigger over a period of time.
Sure.
And that allowed us to impact not just people who sold advertising, but we worked a lot with the businesses that they served as well, helping them to get more effective advertising programs. And so it was just a great opportunity to have a blast, doing something I absolutely love, but make a difference at the same time.
That's great. When you're passionate, when you're having fun, and when you're having a blast, or just having so much gratitude when you're in the field that you love, that's a gift.
Well, it's Lou Holtz, the great Notre Dame football coach, used to say, one day I heard him say, I speak for free, but they pay me to travel.
Yeah.
So I felt the same way,
Yeah.
going out to do the work that I did and being with groups, and that was just a joy.
Yeah.
Getting on the airplane and eating pizza again at some airport in America was not as cool. I love the work. So.
You've traveled, you've mentored people, you've put on workshops, you've put on sales, professional, gigs around the country. That's pretty phenomenal. What do you like about TV in general?
Well, TV has changed a great deal over the 30 years that we've been involved in it. It continues to change.
I agree.
And continues to evolve.
Yeah.
At its best, television has the ability to make a difference in our communities. At its best, it has an opportunity to inform citizenry. And at its best, it really has an opportunity to make a difference for advertisers, too, that can change and have an impact on their business. Mm-hmm. Now, that's evolved now.
Yeah.
And so that's as much on a TV station's digital platforms, their website or their apps, as it is in other ways.
Right.
But it still has a tremendous ability to make a difference.
Sure. What is ServantSellingBook.com?
So after I backed away from the day-to-day involvement with JDA, I still had a lot of energy, still do.
Nice.
And so I wrote a book. I decided one day I was in my quiet time in the morning and I got this idea for a book title. Mm-hmm. And I actually wrote it down, which I almost never do. Yeah. And the title of the book was called Selling with a Servant Heart. Yeah. And over the next couple of weeks, I would talk to a couple of friends of mine and people I knew and say, what do you think? And it seemed to resonate with some people.
Sure.
So I spent the pandemic summer, 20, researching some 30 to 5 of the best salespeople around the country. Mm-hmm. And that all were names that were given to me because people said, oh, yeah, that's so-and-so. They sell that way.
Right.
And it was an extraordinary experience because I really learned, I had some ideas from my media experience and watching media salespeople, but this were other industries and different things. And I met a guy who single-handedly sold more RVs than 95% of the RV dealerships in the country.
Goodness.
He did it as one person.
What was his trick? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think what they all had in common was, most salespeople define success as I closed a sale. This group defined success as they made a difference.
Yeah.
And that's a fundamental
deal.
And once you come up with that, it changes everything because you start to think long term instead of short term. You don't think about the next deal. You think about what's right for the customer.
Right.
So it was fun. So out of that, we distilled some lessons about what did those people teach us that people can apply. And so the book came out in the fall of December of 21, and it's been great. So Selling with a Servant Heart. So.
Nice. Well, congratulations, and it's just wonderful. I've learned in my walk of life, in time, to serving others gradually just makes us feel better, and it helps others overcome their odds. And I have a thing I call the XYZ variable now. I'm going to put it in one of my books. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but nevertheless, it's the XYZ factor. And, whether it's selling a car or RV or, a boat or a house, you can take that approach or that method and apply it to anything in life, serving with a passion. And I think that's what our planet needs, to serve with love and with passion. Because we can serve people in positive ways and negative ways. And I just feel bad because of these challenging times, and it's been challenging for a lot of people out there. And I just want to see everybody on top, and I know that's difficult in these biblical times. Mr. Jim Doyle, what is selling or serving a product or service to you?
Well, I come back. It seems like I kept to the words, how can I make a difference?
Yeah.
If I make my customers' needs more important than mine,
that's a very important message.
ultimately I will I will get my needs met. Zig Ziglar said, the best way to get our needs met is to meet the needs of others. And I had a pivotal time, I think, in our company. We were probably, 3 or 4 years in business. And I would be out in front of an audience and I would say, if I could ever help you with any ideas or any work you're doing, give me a call. Right. And I meant it when I said it. And then I'd be off the road and, when they'd say, hey, Jim, can I connect for a couple of minutes? I would be like, unless they were a manager and could hire me again, and that way I'd be so enthusiastic I'd call them right back. And I realized, you're just a hypocrite. You're just a total hypocrite.
Right.
And we actually redefined our company at one point to say, we exist to serve, not to just make money.
Right.
And
that is so blessed.
Guess what?
What?
The more we did that, the more money we made. the more we grew.
Well, isn't that interesting how it all works out? It
is how
doing the right thing.
But it's interesting. When I wrote the book,
a good deed done pays off.
One of the most interesting things out of the book was how many of these great salespeople I met would admit that selling with a servant heart was not their default. My friend Roy Vaden, who's this great speaker, he said, I was taught that customer has your money and you better get your money. And he said, it took me a while to realize that approach didn't do anything but create conflict and really didn't serve me. Yeah. But he said that wasn't my default. So
sure. A positive change or a positive sale. Life gives to the giver and takes from the taker. The universe is a perfect accounting system. Interesting. What does this mean?
So that's a comment that a colleague of mine in the National Speakers Association, Roxanne Emmerich, said at a seminar that we were at together. Mm-hmm. And she said, life takes from the taker and gives to the giver. The universe has a perfect accounting system.
Yes.
And I think it's another way of talking about karma.
Sure.
I do a meditation that says everything that I give is given to me in return. Mm-hmm. If I send love out to the world, I get love back. If I send
yes, that's an important message.
Pissiness out to the world and sarcasm out to the world, resentment out to the world, I get that back. It's the boomerang.
Right.
And so indeed. I think what that quote says to me is that there is an accountant that figures it out. Right. And so the more that I can give, the more that I will get back. And I've found that's true of everything. That's true of if I give out more love, I get more love back. If I give out more money, I get more money back. It's just it's the boomerang.
This is a wonderful message and so true. I wish others would learn and practice this wonderful practice. So I've been in sales, Jim, for roughly 7 years of my career. You're an expert in success trails and trained and put on seminars and workshops and provided vital selling keys to plenty of people. What initially drove you into sales? In a deeper way, at some point, was it early in your career? Was it, were you inspired by someone? Or do you have a mentor? Did you have a mentor or something that catapulted you or drove you into sales? Or did you have that at birth?
Well, so probably the completely honest answer is that I flunked out of college when I discovered beer and women in the same year.
Me too. I went back eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. I had no marketable skills. So, but I remember my father saying, well, what are you going to do? Yeah. And I said, well, I think I'll have to get a job in sales because I had a paper route and I was good at the Boy Scout candy sale. So I better get a job in sales.
Nice.
So at 21 years old, you talk about just a gift. I ended up at a job with the NBC television station in Portland, Maine. Yeah. I can't even imagine today why they hired me. But I am so glad they did because it changed my life.
Yeah.
But then to the second part of your question, I think that one of the greatest gifts of my career was first bosses
Oh,
who really took the time to teach me and spend time with me. I worry that in this over-communicated, over-scheduled, 200 emails a day world, bosses may not have the time to do that anymore.
right.
But boy, I can't even imagine what my life would be like if it wasn't for those first mentors and bosses
Right.
that have helped me so much.
Amen.
One of my personal pet peeves is people who say they're a self-made man.
Right.
I can tell you that is the opposite of true for me. I have had hundreds of teachers and mentors and coaches along the way,
Yeah.
and thank God, because
Amen. Yeah.
everything
100%.
that I have today is a reflection of the teachers I've had, the books I've read,
Yeah.
and the people who have impacted me.
Yeah. 100%. That's a beautiful question. Please tell me what it was like inspiring, selling, and leading salespeople for almost 50 years.
Oh, it was a blast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I think there's two parts of that. I mean, obviously, you can tell from this conversation that I was one of those people who, found something I loved. It turned out to work out pretty well.
Yes.
And I had a blast.
Oh,
That's
that's awesome. That is so beautiful.
We got shut down, from traveling and speaking live at the beginning of the pandemic, and
Yeah.
and I think I had as much fun on the last seminar I did as I had on the first,
That's
and
great.
so
Nice.
that was a blessing. But I think one of the things that I've learned is that I don't have the ability to motivate anybody.
Right. They have to do it themselves, in other words?
People have to motivate themselves.
Right. Very important
and-
message
and-
as well.
I don't think any training, any book, any self-improvement program will take somebody who's below average and make them even average.
Right.
What you can do is take somebody who has a desire to win, has a desire to be successful, and you can help them get to the next level.
Right.
So I with great humility, say, look, I had 20, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of salespeople who went through our programs, not several hundred thousand, but probably 60 or 70,000 over the years.
Mm-hmm.
The people who took it and ran with it, they're the heroes. It's because they're the 10% of the audience, the 10% of the group who took it and did it. Sorry.
Yeah.
The credit doesn't go to teachers. The credit goes to students, because it's the students who take what they've learned and run with it. Not all of them,
Sure.
just a very small percentage, but they're the ones who I have such respect and admiration for.
Amen. That's an ultimate message. That's very powerful. And I heard that message about a month ago, and I just realized it opened up my eyes so much to see how people have to be their own warriors, their own drive, and people have to motivate themselves. Sometimes I see homeless people, and I wonder myself. I wonder, how they lost the drive, or just how can they get motivated? How can they get kickstarted? I'm joining the board of Sarasota End Homelessness in Suncoast counties, in Sarasota County, and trying to help out with the homeless, and it's just about helping in one way, shape, or form.
So you know that's one of my
yes, I
areas
researched that.
I
Yeah.
spent some time in, and so thank you for your service in that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm actually interviewing on my next show next week. I'm having Megan Howell on following week, who developed Second Heart Homes. Second Heart.
Yeah, I'm on Megan's board.
Oh well, it's a small world,
Serve on
small
Megan's
town.
board.
Wonderful, wonderful.
That'll be a great show. She's an amazing woman.
She really is, and it's amazing what she's done for the city, of the community. And what I want to help inspire is taking what we've done in Sarasota and spread that outwards as an example to the world, or to America, in a positive way.
You'll have a great conversation with her. She's amazing.
Great. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed this interview, and I think I'm actually having like an enlightened moment. Sometimes they say the pink cloud of freedom or happiness, and photons enlighten. And when photons enlighten, people can reach enlightenment and peace and prosperity in a divine way, or connect with God in a better way. Jim, what does advertising and television and digital advertising do? It sounds so interesting.
Exactly. It can take businesses that nobody's heard of and put them on the map.
Okay. Wow, that's huge.
It can help a company to take market share away from their competitor.
Mm-hmm.
It can take a business that has a big national competitor coming into town and done correctly, help them to survive and keep a local presence and maybe even continue to grow during that period of time.
Wow.
And obviously, sometimes for good and for bad, it can have an impact on political campaigns.
Right, sure. Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, as we'll find out this year with the number of times we're bombarded by TV ads.
I can imagine. So I'm from Soho, Lower Manhattan, New York City, New York. My mom was an actress on Broadway. My father, he basically ran a lot of restaurants in the Village. I've made a few TV appearances. My book, with my children's book, The Wonderful Adventures of Lemur Blue, Life Lesson. And I've done social media marketing as well. So on YouTube mostly. You can do a lot for people. And I know that people, leaders, difference makers, humble, now is the time for us to rise and help our communities and spread. I feel that's something driving me to say, spread that further out. Spread it across into the north, into Maine, into the Northeast, in New York City, and then to Los Angeles, California. The message needs to be spread around the world, and now's the time for the light to come over and wipe out the darkness in the world. In so many ways. I'm so passionate about that. I'm sorry.
I want to apologize for that.
Yeah. Mr. Jim Doyle, how many books have you written and published total?
So Selling with a Servant Heart was my third.
Oh, wow. And, congratulations.
I wrote 2 books that were primarily for the broadcasting industry only. Mm-hmm. They sold in the hundreds. And so, obviously Selling with a Servant Heart did a lot better than that. So.
Great. What was your favorite publication project that you were passionate about? What was the most fun for you?
So when I did Selling with a Servant Heart, as I mentioned, I interviewed 35 incredible people.
Wow.
To form the basis of the principles I was going to write about.
Sure.
And I would get off of those calls and I would be like so excited.
Yes.
Because these were people who were articulating in other industries and finding success in other industries.
Yes.
Stuff that I just thought was so wonderful and having a degree of success and also joy. I mean, they loved what they did.
That's important.
I think because they were making a difference.
Yeah.
So that, without a doubt, I spent a whole summer doing those interviews.
Yeah.
And that, without a doubt, was one of the best experiences, writing experiences I've ever had.
Yeah.
The hardest thing then was trying to figure out, what pieces to take out of each one of those interviews because I just had more content and more great ideas. So that part was hard, but the interviews, boy, that was the most fun ever. That was a lot of fun.
Well, you've inspired me to do that. I'm gonna go do that project on my lifetime sometime and do research, travel the country, and just have fun with it. Because my mom just published her second book, A Conspiracy for Lemurs. Penelope Beaudry Sanders, and it's her second book. I published one book, so I have to get my second book out as soon as possible. So that's my goal, to have more books than my mom. But basically, so, it's true. And also a friend of the family has 2 books out, so I want to have more published books than she does. So I don't know, it's just my competitive nature, I guess. So part of my story is I first drank when I was 11 years old. I first tasted liquor at my sobriety date was January 4th, 2012, when I quit. And basically, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I did not stop drinking. That's just my story. That's a promise. I would not be here today. I've learned gratitude, acceptance, unity, truth, service, but for the grace of God, I've received my 12-year coin and medallion January 4th, 2024 this year. And I want help on a larger scale. I want to help on a larger scale now with XYZ factors and variables by way of love, peace, and light. I encourage all people to feel, or if they have a drinking issue or problem, to get support or help in some way. There are many ways and shapes and forms. Don't isolate, suffer, or suffer alone. There is a gentler, easier, softer path. Do not give up or think do not give up. Think the drink through and quit. I want you to be the best version of yourself, whether it's the variable, drinking, gambling, caffeine, cigarettes, control, or what I call the XYZ factors. You can overcome this mind over matter and the action steps literally, and be willing to do the footwork, the best footwork in front of the next best foot, and don't stop. For the first time in your life, or if you've done it before, don't stop. Keep continuing. Breaking old negative thinking patterns and replacing them with new ones, positive changes in the brain. Optimism will rise, confidence will grow. Brain changing will be bold and confident in sales, methods, or approaches to life. Make the sale, get over your hurdles, your tallest mountain. You are worth it. Do you have anything to say about that?
I think, Kip, every good thing that's happened in my life happened because I stopped drinking 40 years ago.
Amen. That's a blessing. It's a true blessing.
Yeah. So I would not be here today. We would not be talking about books or businesses or if I hadn't stopped drinking and stayed stopped.
Yeah. It's a true blessing. I want to ask you about peace, Jim. Topic of peace. What is peace to you?
That's a great question. I have a new definition for that today.
Okay.
It might even have been different from what I would have had 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Peace for me is the evolving feeling that I'm enough.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Very cool. Quote unquote.
My biggest fear always has been that I'm not enough. And that has helped me in some ways because it drove the overachiever and it drove the person who wanted to work. But the problem was every time you got it, it wasn't enough because you didn't really believe it.
Sure.
So for me, inner peace is hopefully believing and coming to be more consistent in believing that I'm good enough, I am enough, I've done enough, I have enough, I'm enough.
110%. Do you think there could be a peaceful earth or peace on earth someday? If so, when or how more so?
I wouldn't have a clue, Kip, but I would tell you this.
Copy that.
I know that if I can bring love to the world, there's a ripple effect to that. Mm-hmm. I believe that in my core. I can't impact the sad stuff that's happening in Ukraine or the sad stuff that's happening in Gaza or Israel unless I impact the person that I meet at Publix today or the waitress that takes care of my wife and I. That's, I'd love to be able to have a more grandiose answer because I think we'd all love to have a more grandiose answer.
Your answers and quotes are like, are quotes, I'm saying, quote unquote, Mr. Jim Doyle, ladies and gentlemen, because these answers are very genuine and very much what the world needs to hear and people need to know. It's about love and being humble and helping the person on a one-on-one basis for most people and all people. And then me, personally, I just want to spread that outwards. Some people bring peace and comfort to people's lives. You bring a joy and rays of light and resourceful information to people, Mr. Jim Doyle. Fun, interactive ways to the world in Sarasota, Florida. Especially in sales, leadership, and passion. Thank you for serving the community. Thank you and congratulations on helping others and your books. Television and digital advertising business success. Thank you for taking the time to be on my show, Manifest Enlightenment Soar. Peace and light be with you. Thank you, and peace be with you.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. God bless.